All right, we're looking pretty good, and the first few minutes is just preamble anyway, so I think I'll kick off. Let me do the share screening thing. Move that over so I can see my presenting notes. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the 2026 R3 release webinar for Authorit, which is our next release coming in early September, I believe. I'm Jamie Simmonds. I'm the documentation manager here at Authorit. You're probably pretty familiar with me right by now. And today I'll be talking about the main features and improvements in the upcoming release. As usual, please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions throughout. The team will be curating those for me, so don't panic if they don't come through right away. They should come through after a short pause. Before I get into the release itself, though, I want to introduce a couple of new team members. Osmar and James. Osmar, how about you take the mic first and tell everyone about yourself?
That's perfect. Thanks, Jamie. Hi, everybody. My name is Osmar Silva. I have been here with Authorit for about 3 months now, and I am the new CTO. Yeah, if you're guessing where my accent is from, I'm Brazilian. I'm from South America. I have moved to New Zealand for about 11 years ago, so I have been enjoying living down here. One of the things that I found interesting about joining Authorit is the fact that it was very similar to a job that I did before. Over the last 18 years, I have been in technology in multiple roles, but my previous job, I was responsible for modernizing an application that was about 20 years old. Have done that for about 4 years, dealing with customers, understanding their needs, visiting different workshops, and being in automotive was quite important for us to be very close to customers, understand what they wanted, not what technology needed. So, and I consider that a great success, given that today we have over 200 customers operating fully on the new platform, between new customers and old ones. And after hearing about Authorit, I felt that this was really aligned with my skill set and capability. So I'm really excited to be here. And I'm very excited also to be working again with James Cheng, the other person that's currently that's going to be introduced today. James and I, we were peers in our previous job, and one of the things that I really valued about James is his ability to connect with customers. And I think new platforms can only be brought to life and become meaningful when you have customer insight from the very beginning. And that's also why a lot of technology deliverables fail, because sometimes it's really driven by technology. But when you have people who can dig deeper into customer needs and bring them to the surface earlier, that's where the magic happens. Would you like to give a quick intro about yourself, James?
Oh, wow. I think you did a pretty good job covering it all, Osmar. That just say, actually, Osmar forcing me to do all sorts of stuff all the time. About at the age of 45, he made me playing our company football team. Never played football before. Yeah, so that was really fun. Nah, it's me and Osmar, we're in the end, we're gonna work really well together, and we've been doing it forever, and really excited about this space. You know, this is with all the development and AI and stuff, what we're doing, managing knowledge is going to be like crucial. So it's a really, yeah. And so far, I spoke with some of you already, and you guys just a really nice bunch of people as well. So very excited. Let's get into it.
Cool as, thanks guys. And obviously, if you've got any questions for Osmar and James throughout the presentation, feel free to use that Q&A feature and to direct that at them as well. All right, let's kick off. So 2026 R3 features our most substantial new word update we've delivered in a single release. It brings a pretty large set of improvements that make publishing more reliable and also more predictable. Other updates include the translations module, supporting the upload of multiple translation jobs at once, which I'll demo later, and which makes localization workflows easier. Sorry, I lost my flow a bit there. And at the end of the day, I'll also cover some smaller improvements and fixes to the author module publishing, and also just to Authorit Cloud and Authorit on-premises in general. All right, so first up, improvements to New Word. So Legacy Word will still be in 2026 R3, the upcoming release, but the one after that, 2026 R4, which should be sometime in November, Legacy Word will be leaving Authorit Cloud entirely. Legacy Word is already out of support, but when R4 comes, you won't be able to publish to it at all, at least if you're using Authorit Cloud. Any Legacy Word publishing profiles you have will automatically switch to New Word. Legacy Word will continue to be available in Authorit on-premises if you're using that. If and when we retire that for Authorit on-premises, we'll give you plenty of warning. So to make sure we're fully prepared for Legacy Word's departure from Authorit Cloud, 2026 R3 includes our longest list of improvements to New Word yet. There are honestly genuinely too many to list in this webinar, or it would be a very long presentation if I listed them all, but you can see a few highlights on screen, right? With tables, what you see is what you publish now. So what your authors see in the author module in the editor is much more closely aligns to the output. Tables merging cells no longer results in tables you don't expect, and same with embedding table rows. Basically, those really complex table layouts that can get used sometimes will no longer result in unexpected things in New Word. With indexes are now sorted and grouped according to the language you're publishing to, rather than your library's main language. So for example, if your library is normally in English, but you publish to Finnish, the index will look like what someone speaking Finnish expects it to look like. Release date filtering. So filter rules on your publishing profiles now only affect topics rather than every single object in the book. That brings New Word in line with other publishing formats and their behavior. Not mentioned on screen, but I think also still worth raising to you, is that we've significantly cleaned the publishing logs for New Word. So at the moment, New Word's publishing logs, they're a little bit verbose, and they give you warnings about things that don't really affect publishing or result in any errors, basically. So we've stripped those out so that the logs really now are just the useful information. And also character style shading is now supported as something I think that's worth mentioning. So if you set up your styles to have character shading in New Word, when you publish your Word files, the character styles will have the shading that you've set up. As usual, you can find the full details in our release notes, which will be available on the Knowledge Center shortly after this webinar. Right. Two big changes in translations or localized, depending on if you use Authorit Cloud or Authorit on-premises. Actually, before I go on, are there any questions I could answer? It's taking a moment for me to load. None yet. Okay, lucky me. All right, where were we? All right, so the biggest usability change to translation jobs is that you can now upload multiple translation jobs at once. So right now in R2, if you have, say, 6 translation jobs you need to upload, that's a matter of clicking upload, uploading the file, confirming, doing the same thing to the next one and the next one and the next one. In R3, you can just upload them all at once, and the translation module will use the file name to work out which translation job the file matches with. Locales in use can also no longer be deleted. So previously in R2 in the current release, it's sometimes possible to delete a locale even if it's been assigned to an object, which can result in some orphan records. We've tightened up those safety guards, so now it's no longer possible to delete a locale at all if it is in use. Here we go. So for this last slide, I'm going to quick fire through some smaller improvements and fixes. In the author module, if you edit a variant value, so you change it from one thing to another, that refreshes right away, and you and your authors see it everywhere. You don't have to close and reopen author anymore. The assigning variant values window now also loads significantly quicker when you publish a book. So that's the window for when you publish a book and the author module asks, what variants would you like to assign to this publishing job? That window now loads significantly quicker. You'll notice more performance improvements if you have a lot of different variant values. Basically, the more variant criteria you have in your library, the more you're going to appreciate this change. AION files, they now carry the variable values for books and topics. So they already carried the variable values for the publishing job entirely, but individual objects can have different ones, and now those are included in the file, giving it more information and getting even better results from them. Content behind expanding hyperlinks, content behind expanding inline and expanding block hyperlinks are now also included in AION files. For Authorit Cloud specifically, large publishing jobs now download more reliably. And we've also improved support for importing docx style Word files, and that applies to cloud and on-premises. So you'll notice that a wider range of those files now import successfully. For Authorit on-premises specifically, we've added a dedicated contributor role for the contribute module. Right now, the only way to give people access to that module is to give them the security administrator role, which gives them access to a bunch of things they may not need. Now there's a dedicated role for that, which just means they can only access the contribute module if that's the only thing they require. All right, we're really blistering through this. Do I have any Q&A things? No? That's okay. I strongly suspect the next section will produce some comments and Q&A questions anyway. So that's actually it for R3, for 2026 R3, what's coming up in the next release. But it's not the end of the webinar. We also wanted to take this as a chance to introduce a feature that we've started developing for R4. I clicked through the slides a bit quickly there, so you probably saw it. So development for 2026 R4, the release coming up in November, has already started, and we wanted to use this webinar to give you a preview of one of its features, connecting your AI assistants to Authorit Cloud. As the title implies, in 2026 R4, you will be able to connect your AI assistant to Authorit Cloud and have it do things in the library for you. If you're more technically minded, the AI will connect via something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. And if you keep up with the latest developments in AI, you'll know that MCP has rapidly become the standard way to connect an AI to a software application. If you're not so technically minded, basically what MCP means is it's something that tells an AI what it can do in a software program and how it can do it. Building an MCP server, that capability, it's a really big job, bigger than what we could fit into one release, hence why development had already started partway through R3. And so far, we've been working on the backbone of this feature, the server itself. That's not very exciting to demo, I will admit, just an empty server, but we do have a few capabilities developed, partly so that I could demonstrate something today. And hopefully those will give you an idea of how you'll connect your AI to Authorit, how you'll use your AI with Authorit, and maybe some inspiration for what the future can hold. So I'm literally going to demo that to you right now. I'm going to be demonstrating everything today with Claude because that happens to be the AI that we use. Obviously, the steps may differ slightly, or the steps will differ if you use a different kind of AI assistant. So connecting is pretty simple. You literally just go to the connectors page, look for the relevant connection. So this will probably require an administrator in for your organization to set this up so that it appears on this screen. Osmar happens to be my administrator, so he's already done that for me. And obviously we'll have instructions for that administrator when the time comes. But for a typical user, it's as simple as clicking connect. And then Claude or your AI assistant will automatically open Authorit Cloud and ask you to give it permission to access it. There we are. So from there, I can click allow access. That's it. I can start querying my AI assistant. And we will. So the capability I'm going to demonstrate today is searching for and getting information about translation jobs. Obviously, that will take a minute, especially given the fact that I'm presenting.
Well, while we're waiting for the AI to work it through, this is the bit I was really excited about to kind of share with you guys. And yeah, I think we look forward to more interactive. But after Jamie's done with this, to kind of hear about what kind of use cases, what kind of prompts you'd be looking to do. So yeah, and I think this is also going forward, one of a different sort of approach we want to take to kind of show you stuff early to get feedback so that you guys are really part of the roadmap process.
Awesome. So Claude has returned a bunch of translation jobs that I have in the translations module, and we can literally see them. Let's look for an example one. X3001 German. X3001 German. There we are. Oh, in fact, it's this one down here. 191 retranslated words, 191 retranslated words. And if we make changes to a couple, so before I talked about how you can import multiple translation jobs now, upload multiple translation jobs. So I might as well use this opportunity to demonstrate that. Which one's that? Japanese. Download the French one as well. There we go. Click both of those, upload. All right, I just want to give enough time for that. There we go. So status is clicked over to queued for import now, and sorry, excuse my spelling mistakes. And if I ask Claude to tell me about those jobs again, should grab those two that we just changed. Okay, well, looks like those two are taking a little longer to, oh no, there we go. Yeah, so it's grabbed the Japanese one. It hasn't quite filtered the French one. That's probably just grab the French one, but that's probably just taking a moment to come through the server. So if you're anything like me, this is already pretty cool, being able to use Authorit conversationally, but more exciting than this kind of stuff than chatting with AI is what tasks can you get an AI to do? What can you get it to create that will make your life easier? And this is a pretty simple capability, returning translation jobs. If you're a translations manager, you may be comfortable working in the translations module screen anyway, so just getting a list of jobs might not be that exciting for you. But there are still some pretty awesome things you can do with just this, even this simple thing. Let's say you don't really take care of the translation jobs, you're the manager who sits above it. And every month, all you really want to know is what jobs are overdue and what jobs have my staff not created yet, so that I can tap people on the shoulder and say, hey, can you please chase this up? And even just using that endpoint, in a single afternoon, I was able to create a dashboard that matches exactly that scenario, right? we can see we've got one job that's overdue here. It's the German one that's been out for translation and was supposed to come back on July 1st. And there it is, right there. And I gave it a few different scenarios. I said, for these books, I need a French, a Japanese, and a German job every month. And the dashboard has told me which one of those has not been created yet, so I can look up the relevant stuff. I do have on another tab, just for demonstration purposes, all of the jobs, just to show that that's also something you can do if you want to create your own UI. And one of the other capabilities we have is actually grabbing the logs as well. So you could do that for each of the jobs. The UI is a little messed up here because this was, to borrow the common parlance, vibe coded, but you could easily fix it up if you wanted. All right, that's all I have today. Have we had any Q&A stuff come through yet? No?
Yep. I think, yeah, so far that's let's get some reaction. I think one of the things will be great to do is to kind of get your reaction and get your input. Yeah, like who would be, excited or interested in giving this a try? Maybe just go with one of the emojis, a thumbs up or whatever, so that we know that we are on the right track. And okay, cool, great.
I see Demian's asked if we can search books in different release dates. Not right now. So that's, as I say, for the time being, we've been developing the backbone of the MCP server, the server itself. So the actual capabilities are still being constructed. I think translation there's just a few, mostly focused around translations. But if that's something you would like to see, as our next slide hints.
Yeah.
It's that one. There we go.
Yeah.
If that's something you would like to see, please email James and say, this is something I would like the MCP server to be able to do. For those of you who aren't familiar with MCP servers, you don't build them to do everything at once. You have to build each of their capabilities one by one. And that's a good thing, right? You don't want to give AIs carte blanche access to your database to do absolutely everything. You want to set up some real strict guardrails there. And MCP servers allow that, right? You give AIs capabilities one at a time so that the actions they can perform are predictable and safe.
So I popped a question in the Q&A section, which is the question you see here, and feel free to drop your thoughts, your comments. So yeah, Damien, I see that you have some thoughts, some ideas, and this is exactly why we're doing this. So if you have if you're like, oh, this will be great if I can prompt Claude to do this, then pop it in there and we'll definitely review all of them. While some of you putting in the comment, I'll just say that as you can see as well, in terms of security, obviously this is something that you turn on. So you make the decision. If you don't, like initially when Jamie was just kind of making that connection, if you don't want to connect, you don't connect. If you want to, you do. Yeah, so that's kind of like got that sort of cover. We're not kind of exposing your data to the world unless you're okay with it. And in the meantime, we'll obviously start preparing some Q&As for the next release. But given the amount of thumbs up we had and interest, I think this is really good. It kind of tells us, that there is appetite for this, then it's worth our effort and we can work with you as well. Now, don't worry if you don't kind of immediately have a thought on what to kind of put in. That's exactly why I got my email there. So, and Ben, I think afterwards, when we send out a sort of catch-up email, I'm assuming you can pop my email in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I'm really keen to. I think we also have some question about with the new people like myself coming in, we're gonna just kind of jump in and mess stuff up. I think no. I mean, I'm very much aware that I don't know half as much, a quarter as much as all of you guys. So no, that's why I'm in this session asking these questions and to learn from you guys. And I've already met with some customers. Anyone who wants to catch up with me, please do. I love to kind of hear from you and to work out what you think will be useful for you. So another one would be, feel free to, I have another question there, feel free to pop in the chat or Q&A so that we can review later. Like, really keen to look at if there's any particularly difficult part of your workflow and all that. One way to think about that question is kind of like, you wake up in the morning and you're doing your stuff. What's the one job that you have to do in Authorit that you kind of go, oh, maybe I'll put that off because you're not excited by it. Yeah, and that's possibly an area for us to look at. So yeah, feel free to pop that in the comments or email me later on if you want to kind of talk about it one-on-one.
And one other aspect about the MCP as well, would it just be you guys in the authoring and writing teams, or would you want to be bringing other or making it available to other staff within the business for SME reviews or peer reviews like Claudia mentioned? We're very keen to hear.
I'm loving some of Demian, you asked great questions. So one of your questions was, as long as the AI has the option to stay within Authorit or go outside of it. And that's one of the big advantages of an MCP server is you're literally just connecting the AI assistant to Authorit. It can still do all of the things that the AI assistant can do. So everything I can do with Claude Cowork, I'm not smart enough for Claude Code, but everything that Claude Cowork can do, it can be able to connect to Authorit and still do all of that stuff. If you've produced your AI assistant, your own AI assistant somehow, and it's MCP compatible, then it will still be able to do all of the things you've developed it to do. And that goes both ways, right? So it will still be able to do everything that the regular AI assistant can do. It's just adding more capabilities. It's not taking them away. But if your security team or administrators or whoever have put in some guardrails, then those guardrails will continue to be present. And actually, you raised another good point, Demian, for switching from legacy Word to new Word and updating Word templates. That is something AI is actually very good at. I did not update ours by hand. I got Claude to do it. I had to give it some pretty strict instructions, like I gave it the knowledge center for Authorit and the new Word section, and I told it the areas that there tends to be issues, specifically converting from frames to other things, but it handled that very well. So that's something I can recommend to speed that process up.
Yeah, Claudia, I see you also had a comment about different wanting to use to automate peer and production reviews of content. Yeah, feel free to catch up with us later on, myself, Adrian, kind of like specifically what kind of, I'm actually interested in literally what would you want to be prompting Claude and what you expect to see back. And then those are the kind of content that would be really helpful for us to think about what we can build. Yeah. Cool. But
Right,
hey,
cool. But before I wrap up, was there anything anyone else wanted to chime in with? I think I just cut James off there, sorry.
no, I was just saying the comment about Dread publishing multiple books in multiple languages for several output. That may be an API thing.
Let me have a look. I dread publishing multiple books in multiple languages for several outputs. That may be an API thing. Yes, definitely, Chrisette. That's something that can be made a lot less painful via the API. Absolutely, submit a ticket with the Authorit support team, if assuming you're using Authorit Cloud, saying, "Hey, can I please get an API key? How could I use it for publishing?" In fact, I again just gave. So we have a developer's website that tells you how to use the API very effectively. I personally just gave that to Claude and an API key and said, this is what I want to do. Can you create me a little thing that does that? And that's how I do handle bulk publishing now internally. Obviously, your own policies may differ. You may have very valid reasons for not using AI in that way, and absolutely fair enough. But you can still set up scripts and things. Yeah, definitely the publishing endpoints of our Authorit Cloud API make that so much easier.
It'll be interesting to know, Chrisette, if that's something you'd actually want to use MCP for as well. Asking Claude to find or publish the latest versions of books, perhaps.
Yeah, the MVPP, the multivariant publishing plugin is also worth looking into. Just chuck that into our knowledge center and have a read up.
Absolutely.
Cool. I think we'll wrap up there.
We will, Engling, I think there's a comment about the AION files. Yeah, we'll catch up with you individually about that one. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for attending today. And as James said, if any more questions to come to you, whether it be about the MCP server or anything else, please get in touch. We'll be happy to answer those. It's always a pleasure having you here. All right. Thank you for attending and see you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.